Good morning, YouTube. And now, good morning, Facebook. All right, let's get this shared. And then, no, I don't need to share it yet. I can just. What is up? Thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of the What Had Happened Was podcast. It's not What Had Happened Was podcast. Here we are. Another week in the books, another NFL only episode. I quit at even trying to post these throughout the week. What I'm going to try to do is either Friday nights and Saturday nights record one for Monday morning so that I can just have them released on Monday morning. Don't think I will be doing the live feeds, but what I'm going to try to do is record them. So when it goes live on the podcast apps, it can also go live on Facebook and YouTube. And that's pretty much all I got because obviously there's a ton of shit going on. There's people in MAGA vans being MAGA bombers. Got me stuttering. Crazy times we're living in. People shooting up synagogues in Pittsburgh. Hearts go out to them. You're not allowed to say thoughts and prayers anymore without getting mocked by the Twitter sphere. But I don't know what else you can do when you're sitting in a house in Delaware besides send out your thoughts. And I don't really pray that much, but my thoughts are with all those that have been affected by the Pittsburgh shooting. It's pretty gross that people can't even go to worship anymore. What was it, Dylan Roof a few years back? Now this, just a ton of hate in the world. And I know a lot of people like to say that the media stirs shit and the media causes all of these divisions, but I think the media is just a reflection of us as a society, and we are pretty shitty. We'll just leave it at that. We are shitty, and the media reflects that. So, it's like that Spider-Man meme where you're pointing at each other, like you're like the media sucks, and the media's like, actually, we're just reporting the stuff that you do, and you suck. So it's like, hey, everybody sucks. We're all big pieces of shit. And speaking of pieces of shit, how about the Jags going to London, and it looks like their entire secondary minus Jalen Ramsey. Don't want to disparage his good name. Went out partying Friday night. And they have a Sunday game, so they said a 50,000 pound bar tab, which I find hard to believe. That's like $65,000, unless they were just buying bottles and bottles and bottles. They refused to pay for it, and they all got arrested, is my understanding. 4 of them. I think it was Barry Church, DJ Hayden, Damon Harrison. I don't want to, it was all reported, AKA. But anyway, that leads me to take the Eagles minus 3 points. I'm going to take the Eagles, even though they are laying 3 points in London. You sound like you're from London, which has to suck for the Eagles. I know the Jags make a lot of money doing that, so I imagine the Eagles have a bye next week, which is good for them because they're reeling. The old saying, if the playoffs started today, they'd be on the outside looking in. Well, on the outside looking in. They're 3-4. Right now, they're like the 11th seed, I guess you could say, in the NFC. Obviously, the top 6 make it. The Packers would actually make the playoffs if they started today, which is surprising to me with the way that they've played. We'll talk more about them later. But the Eagles, this is kind of a make or break game for them. If they can't beat a team whose entire secondary pretty much got caught out boozing two nights before a game, and who knows if they'll be suspended, if they'll play. I haven't really read any updates, but you got to think that they'll be able to pull this out. A lot of favorites on the books today for me. I'm hoping that's not a bad sign. Usually when I do that, it leads to a bad week, but it's just, as I was going through the games, I was like, I can't really justify taking the underdog here. Can't justify taking the underdog here. And then there were a couple games where I was like, I feel like I have to take the underdog because I've taken so many favorites in a row. So this could be one of my worst weeks. I've not been under 500 once this year. I'm 59, 45, and 4. So I'm looking to keep that, kind of, what is it? I guess 66%. Is that what it is? 60 and 45 would be 66%. I don't know how math works. I just talk into a microphone and hope my voice doesn't start crackling because the audio sucks. So right now, so far so good. Eagles minus 3 is the pick. Carson Wentz really, I don't think anyone expected him to be back to pre-injury Carson Wentz, but he has looked pretty pedestrian. They blew a late lead against the Panthers. I can't believe they went into prevent defense as early as they did. Cam went down the field 3 straight drives. The first 2, obviously, the Eagles really didn't care about. They were like, whatever, we're still up. But then the third one, when it came time to buckle down, by that time the momentum had been built up and it was too little too late. Panthers get a victory they really shouldn't have gotten. The Eagles should have won that game. They were up, I think, 17-0 at in the third quarter when the Panthers started their comeback. So I don't know what was going on or why Schwartz went to the defenses that he did, but it looked like they started playing soft. Cam started finding some chunks of yardage, and then they had that last drive where Cam looked awful for 3 throws, and then he'd throw a beautiful throw where he'd have a guy draped all over him. Michael Bennett's hitting him, and he like lobs it out, and the guy gets 20 yards. But that's the NFL today. A lot of teams going to prevent way too early. They try to grind it out. No Jay Ajayi to help grind out the clock, and the Eagles got bit. Hopefully that loss doesn't come back to bite them in the aforementioned playoff seedings. But you have to think so. The Panthers are a divisional opponent, or conference opponent, I should say. They're not in the NFC least, but they are a conference opponent, and that's never good to have other teams have the tiebreaker over top of you. An inter-conference game, intra is between the same. Inter is between two different conferences. Yeah. So the Jets go to Soldier Field to take on the Bears at 1:00. This game started off, Chicago was like a touchdown favorite, like right in that range, 6.5, 7.5, depending on where you looked. They're all the way up to an 8-point favorite now. The Bears are not a great team. They're a very good team, but they're not a great team. They really should not be giving 8 points to anybody. However, the Jets are really banged up. They just lost Bilal Powell, who's one of their best running backs. They lost Quincy Enunwa, who was their top wide receiver. Terrell Pryor, again, a top 3 or 4 wide receiver. The Jets just don't have a ton of weapons, and the Bears have a really good defense. I'm not sold on Mitch Trubisky. He's looked really good sometimes this year, and then he's looked really bad. There's just still a ton of inconsistencies. He's a really young quarterback, but the Patriots couldn't stop him running around, and he kept a lot of plays alive and a lot of drives alive, and made that game look closer than it really should have been. The Patriots were able to kind of stifle him throwing the ball, but they just couldn't stop him and running the ball, and then they were just dumping it off to Tariq Cohen. And the Patriots have issues with those quick running backs. They're big, they're bulky, they have a lot of big kind of, I don't know, hog mollies down there, and they don't stop the quick game really well. And that's what the Bears were able to do. They were able to get it off to Tariq Cohen, have Mitchell Trubisky get out of the pocket, run around. I think on one of his touchdown runs, he ran like 72 yards. It was really only like a 30-yard run, but he ran like 72 yards by the time all was said and done. By the time he looped back around, circled around, Fran Tarkentoned it into the end zone. What is going on? Not sure what's going on here. I'm hoping that I'm still live, but I'm not certain. All right, we're still working on the YouTube. It looks like I'm still working on Facebook, but it keeps saying that I need to reload the site, and I don't want to do that because I think that the live video would be done, and I want to share this later. So I'm just going to keep clicking out of this when it keeps asking to. Maybe there will be a dialog box that says, "Don't show me this again." Anyway, with all that being said, before I was so rudely interrupted, the Bears are the pick. Chicago -8. The Jets don't have enough weapons. I think at the end of this game, the Bears will grind it out and win by more than 8 points. So look for the Jets to go ahead and win, because anytime I bet against the Jets, they look like they may pull it off. Last week was not one of those weeks. They did not have the firepower against Minnesota. They had a couple calls that didn't go their way, but that's the NFL, and the Vikings are a better team than the Jets right now. And then the Vikings at the end, once they got that lead, they were able to pin their ears back. They converted a couple 4th downs, had a couple nice long passes from Cousins to Thielen, Cousins to Aldrick Robinson, and that was the end of that. And then they pulled away at the end, which happens a lot in the NFL. You see a team go from really, they're doing really, really well, and then all of a sudden they're doing really, really poorly. What I'm going to end up doing is just sharing the Facebook link, because I think my live video just deleted on the Facebook. So yeah, I'm just going to delete this. Delete you. Why am I talking about this? So we'll just delete that, and then we'll just go on the YouTube and the podcast, and then I'll share the YouTube link at about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Anyway, here we are, plowing right ahead, as Bill Burr likes to say. I did that one for Joey. He's always waiting for me to do that. He says I don't have a lot of transitions, and he's waiting for me to completely copy Bill Burr's show. So there you go, Joey, plowing right along. Cincinnati is home. They're hosting the Bucks. The Bucks come up to Cincinnati. The Bucks have looked I don't know how to describe them. Sneaky, I guess you could say, because they're not great, but they had that really good start to the season, so they're right outside of that playoff contention range. They're 3-3 right now. They just came off a win against the Browns. That really should have been a loss. They tried their best to give that game away, and the Browns just couldn't. The Browns were the Browns. They couldn't finish off the game. And that's what happens when you play the Browns. You get a few of these instances where they're just the Browns, and then you gotta capitalize. And the Bucks couldn't until finally in overtime they did capitalize. I think Chandler Catanzaro hit like a 60-yarder to win the game. And some of the memes of Baker Mayfield surprise faced are quality. The internet, as they say, is undefeated. And the best one I saw was Baker Mayfield. He's doing like this, blocking the sun kind of like looking thing, and then all of a sudden they show the surprise thing, and it's like when she walks behind Yucca Pants. I know that's sexist in the 2018 Me Too era. We should not be objectify women by the clothes they wear, but I think everybody likes a lady in yoga pants. So even Baker Mayfield. The Bengals, though, I will take as 3.5-point favorite. The Bengals are a pretty good team. Again, this is a battle of two teams that are just meh. So the Bengals have found a way. I think they're 4-3 now on the outside looking in of the playoffs. If you're wondering why I'm talking about the playoffs so much, it's because we're almost at the halfway point of the season. Next week is officially the halfway point, 17 weeks, 8 weeks. Number 9 would be the halfway point. So next week is week 9, which is the halfway point in the NFL season. It's crazy to think that we're almost there. The Bengals, like I said, have looked okay, we'll just say. It's not like they've been great. Some games they've looked like they can be playoff contenders. Other games they've looked like the Bengals. However, I will take Cincy minus 3.5 in this game at home. You got to figure they'll be able to kind of get the ball rolling. I know Tampa Bay doesn't typically like the colder climates. However, it has gotten more mild here in like that. I guess you could still call Ohio they're just outside of the Mid-Atlantic. I don't know what the temperature's going to be. Let's see if it says. Let's see. Open link in new tab. Should I go to the Weather Channel? Nah. Why would I be that scientific? Well, the Weather Channel's not that scientific. One day it said there was 0 chance of rain, and I walked outside and it was raining. Can you believe it? The nerve of those people to not be able to tell me exactly what the weather's like before I go stick my stupid fat head outside and find out for myself. I always do crack up at people that are like, oh, I can't believe the weather guys got it wrong. It's like, well, do you have fucking eyeballs and skin? Can you stick your head out the door and see if it's raining before you just go fucking barreling out your door without a raincoat? Now you're mad at them. It looks like it's going to be mid-40s, so it'll be fine. They're in the old Cincinnati, in the Nat town. I don't know what they call it, getting down in Nat town. Is that what they say? It's probably what they say in Cincinnati. Something stupid like that. People from Ohio are not exactly the best and the brightest. They're not one of these elitists on the coast where all the smart people live. You gotta live on the coast if you're a smart person. If you live in the interior, you're clearly a mouth breather. So, but I'm still picking your team, Cincy. So Cincy minus 3.5 there. Another team from the interior, the Lions take on the Seahawks, one of those smart coastal towns, Seattle. Their football team has not looked very great this year. They are, like, their record isn't bad. I think they're at 500, actually. Let's see. The Seahawks, yes, they are at 3-3, literally right on the outside of the playoffs. They're the 7th seed right now if they were to start today. However, I do not think they've looked that great, and I think this is probably the steal of the week to get the Lions only minus 3 points. I feel like it should be a lot more than that. I feel like they should be almost a touchdown favorite at home. Russell Wilson can run around and create some things. Yes, he covers some warts that they have on the offensive line, but that team overall is not good. They don't have really good receiving weapons. They don't have a good offensive line. They do have some good running backs, but you got to think Detroit's going to be able to stop the run with Snacks Harrison. I don't know how much he's going to play today, but that's a big pickup for them from the Giants. They should be able to at least use him in certain situations. He's a big D lineman. It doesn't take rocket science to say, hey, big guy, stand in the middle and don't let them run the ball. So I'm sure he'll be out there on some first and second downs, some short yardage situations. You got to figure Snacks Harrison will sturdy out that defense. I'm taking Detroit minus 3. Next game, Denver, Kansas City. Denver goes into Kansas City, 9.5-point underdog. This game started off Kansas City 10, went down to 9, ended up at about 9.5. Kansas City has been rolling. I've been waiting for not really the wheels to fall off, but a team to kind of stay close to them that really shouldn't. And this week, I don't think it's Denver, but I've picked so many favorites in a row. I have to go Denver plus 9.5. It's just the way that the games lined up. I was like, shit, I've now picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row favorites. This like college football yesterday was kind of crazy. I didn't watch it, but I looked at the scoreboard and there were quite a few top 25 upsets. Oregon lost, I think Washington um, lost, or I don't, why am I saying shit I don't know out loud? Like it's not easily checkable by you guys. Like you can just hit Google NCAA scores and find that out real quick. All right, let's take a quick sidebar. All right, top 25 week 8 scoreboard or week 9 scoreboard. All right, West Virginia won earlier in the week, but that doesn't count because that wasn't on Saturday. It wasn't yesterday. Clemson beat the dog shit out of Florida State, 59-10. I think it was the worst loss in Florida State history. Notre Dame kept rolling on their weak-ass schedule against Navy. Yes, here we go. Okay, so Oklahoma State beat Texas. Georgia beat Florida, but that was not an upset because Georgia was the higher-ranked team. Kentucky basically should have gotten beat by Missouri. I did get to watch the end of that game. It was insane. Missouri's winning the whole time. It was 14-9, I believe. And all of a sudden, Kentucky just goes down the field in like 30 seconds. 2 seam routes to the tight end, a pass interference in the end zone, and then they hit an out route to win the game with no time on the clock. Washington State beat Stanford, but again, that wasn't really an upset because Washington State was ranked higher, although I think a lot of people thought Stanford was going to win that game. Cal beat Washington. So what I said when I said Washington won, I lied. Cal beat Washington 12-10 in what was a barn burner. Mississippi State beat the hell out of Texas A&M 28-13. Texas A&M kind of can't score apparently. So 28-13 Mississippi State. So that's another top 25 upset. And then Oregon lost to Arizona. Northwestern beat Wisconsin. Houston beat South Florida, and Syracuse beat NC State. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 7 teams in the top 25 lost. That's quite a bit of upsets going on in college football. So this is going to be a chalk NFL weekend based on my my scientific theory that if the college football has a crazy weekend, the NFL can't have a crazy weekend. Denver plus 9.5. Mahomes looks great. What more can you say? Chad Kelly got hammered drunk at Von Miller's Halloween party. Was stumbling, talking incoherently in somebody's living room. And if they were starting him, he'd be my favorite player to root for, because who doesn't like a drunken white dude who's just a hot mess? You got to love that. You got to root for that guy. John Elway apparently does not root for that guy. He was cut. Let go. Peace out. We don't need you shit here anymore. So Chad Kelly gone. No more boo birds for Case Keenum chanting for Chad Kelly. He had one too many. I don't know what the hell they were drinking, but there was like a cocaine theme at the party, which was hilarious. Broncos linebacker Brandon Marshall was dressed up as Bobby Brown. Emmanuel Sanders was Tyrone Biggums. So there's a whole lot of cocaine themes going on. And apparently Chad Kelly may have actually taken that too literally and just done maybe a whole 8-ball, blew through an 8-ball, bunch of beers, bunch of whiskeys. I don't know what his thing is, but he looks like he likes to party. What's even funnier is the mugshot. He had like the orange collar on, obviously, and the Broncos had the orange collar. So it was really hard to tell the difference between his mugshot and his like NFL roster pick. And he's got something going on with his eyes. Like one of them's higher than the other. It's like a Forrest Whitaker kind of thing. I don't know what the fuck's going on with Chad Kelly's eyes, but they look like they're dead. Like he's dead inside. But guy likes to party, and I like the Broncos plus 9.5 over Pat Mahomes in the NFL MVP at the halfway point. All right, let's take it down a notch. The guy Pat Mahomes replaced, Alex Smith, takes his team into New Jersey. This has been a weird one. So Washington started off a 1-point favorite. At one point, middle of the week, the Giants were suddenly a 1-point favorite. The Giants should never be a favorite. I think Vegas realized that, quickly corrected. Washington kicks off today. Well, I don't know if they'll kick off today, but at 6:30 this morning, they are a 1-point favorite. I don't know. It's in Jersey, it's a divisional game, so maybe the Giants do stand the chance. But with Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen up the middle, I don't think they're going to be able to get a run game going. Eli Manning, literally, if he even senses pressure, he just falls down. He's awful. He's half the reason for their offensive line woes. You would think at this stage in his career, he'd be much better at either reading a hot route, getting rid of the ball quickly, not just falling over because he said the words hut, hut, hike. I don't know. He could do a lot of things differently and a lot of things more, I guess you could say, efficiently to set up that offensive line. Washington's not a great team, but if they win today, and the Jags beat the Eagles, Washington's really in pole position. Right now, they're 4-2. The Eagles are 3-4. So you got to figure Washington gets a win to go to 5-2. Eagles go to 3-5. That obviously doesn't wrap up the division, but it makes it really hard for some other teams to catch them. I think the Cowboys are right around 500 as always. They're 3-4 as well. You gotta like the Redskins in the NFC East. Who'd have thunk that would happen early in the year? No. So right now, I think Washington can get another win, get to 5-2, and kind of mark themselves as contenders. Still a lot of football left to be played. I still think the Eagles are the best team in that division. But we'll find out if that that Super Bowl hangover can be cured. I should call Chad Kelly for some hangover recipes. I don't know why I'm going to that voice so often here. I went to it a lot this podcast. Over under on me going to the voice the rest of I'm going to go 2.5, and I'm going to take the over because I'm going to go to it right now. We've got Baker Mayfield, the aforementioned meme-worthy Baker Mayfield goes into Pittsburgh. They are an 8-point underdog. I've been riding the Browns. They're pretty good against the spread this year. I'm going to take them. Cleveland +8. Still no Le'Veon Bell. James Conner, the Terminator, has shown no signs of slowing down. He looks like to be the replacement for Bell. Why would you pay a guy like Bell $14-15 million a year when James Conner's producing? I get the Steelers aren't, record-wise playing that well. But if the playoffs started today, they'd be the number 4 seed at 3-2-1. That tie was to the Browns. I do think it's going to be a tight game. The Browns have just been playing a bunch of tight games. Although I will say, between the Chargers and the Bucs, it does look like teams have started to kind of figure out their defense. The Browns do have a really good defense, but teams have started to figure that out. And you got to figure with Juju, Antonio Brown, James Conner, that the Steelers are going to put up points. I just think the Browns are going to be able to put up points. I think Baker's going to be able to move the ball against them. So I'm taking Cleveland +8. So here's where I actually took some underdogs right in a row here. Took 3 in a row. So Cleveland +8. Then we go to Baltimore and Carolina. This game is in Carolina. Baltimore is a favorite in Carolina. I don't know how. The Ravens are like one of those bad good teams where they'll beat the bad team, so their record looks pretty good. Like right now, they're 4-3. Because they've beaten some bad teams. However, when they face some sturdy competition, they tend to fold. They played the Saints really good. I shouldn't but it was outdoors. It was in Baltimore. The Saints don't play that well outdoors, especially on like a rainy, mucky day like it was last weekend. And the Saints still got the win. I don't know how Baltimore's a road favorite. I don't think they should be a road favorite on anyone. That's the only reason I'm taking Carolina +2.5. I'm actually more on the under in this game. I think last I saw it was like 44, 45 in that range. This could be one of those ugly games where it's like a 15-13 kind of affair where teams are just kicking field goals, getting safeties, and the announcer makes some kind of baseball joke like, "This is a baseball score," and Mike's using that voice again. Why? I don't know. It must be his insecurities. Baltimore is not that great. Give me Carolina +2.5. Cam Newton and the Panthers, these are kind of the same team. Like the Panthers are the Ravens of the NFC. They're not really good, but their record's really good. They can't beat great teams. If they win today, they'll be 5-2. And there'll start to be some division over there in the NFC. The AFC looks like it's just going to be a hot fucking mess for the 5 and 6 seeds for the wild card. Looks like it's going to be like a 500 kind of team that gets in. The Chargers are really starting to make a push. They're 5-2. The Chiefs are 6-1. So the AFC West is going to be, I don't know, there's going to be a battle because the Chiefs could run away with it. And Chargers could fold. Who knows? Or the Chiefs could fold and the Chargers could run away with it, right? Did I give you the two options that could happen since there's two teams? The Chiefs could win it or the Chargers could win it. Look at that analysis. That's why you come here, for that hard-hitting analysis. Speaking of the AFC West, team that's in shambles right now, the Oakland Raiders. They've traded Khalil Mack. They've traded Amari Cooper. They now have 3 first-round picks in 2019, 2 first-round picks in 2020. Is Chucky an idiot, or is he rebuilding? I don't know. The answer is probably somewhere in between. I think it's obviously easy to say right now, oh, the NFL has passed John Gruden by, but the guy's going to have 5 first-round picks in the next 2 years. He signed a 10-year contract. He seems to want to be there for the long haul. So let's pump the brakes on after 8 games, he's fucking done. He doesn't have it anymore. If the guy has 5 first-round picks, he could really reshape that team into some new image. And I think you could be seeing the beginnings of the NFL starting to revert back to the old ways. And once a bunch of these teams get some small linebackers and once a bunch of these NFL teams get some really fast guys, you could see a team switch to the power game. The Patriots are already built for the power game on defense. Like, they're waiting for the rest of the NFL to catch up. They had all those small running backs, the Danny Woodheads, the Danny Amendolas, the Julian Edelmans, the Wes Welkers running across the middle and catching those little quick passes. So they've been on that quick short game for a while now. And it seems like they're already starting to evolve into the more power game. They had like Garrett Blunt. They've got some big, bulky linebackers, big linemen. So the Patriots could just be waiting for the rest of the NFL. We shall see. I'm taking Oakland +3. Indy looked really good, but it was against Buffalo last week. I just think this is one of those games where everyone's like, oh, Oakland's tanking, Oakland shit. Look at them. They're giving up on their season. And the players kind of rally around that in the locker room, and they end up winning this game. I don't know why I have that feeling, but it's just a feeling I have. Give me Oakland +3. Where's Andrew Luck have the Colts? They were doing pretty poorly. Yeah, they're still nowhere near. They're 2-5. One of their wins is against the Bills. They're not looking very great. So this could be actually one of those detrimental games for the Raiders to win. The Raiders, like I said, have 3 first-round draft picks. They're in right now contention for the top overall pick. Them and the Giants, the Niners, the Cardinals, those teams all kind of with one win would be in contention for the top overall pick. The Raiders probably don't want to win as a franchise. But like I said, just something tells me those guys in the locker room are going to say, all right, we've had enough of this. They're talking shit on us. They're saying we're tanking the season. Let's go out and get a win. And I think they get a win. Probably the most will be the most watched game. Obviously, 4:25 Rams Packers. I don't know that it's going to be the best game. Aaron Rodgers doesn't look right. I think he's playing through an injury. I've said that multiple times on this podcast. But the Rams are really, really good. They're one of those teams that likes the quick game. They do a lot of motion. They're not doing anything crazy, but they just run a lot of motion, a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of shit's going on pre-snap, and then they'll just run like a slant route. And Cooper Kupp takes off for 60 yards for a touchdown. Or Sammy Watkins, well, not Sammy Watkins. He's not there anymore. He's in Kansas City. Brandon Cooks will catch a screen pass and take off for 35 yards. So I think most offensive NFL fans are hoping for that Rams Chiefs Super Bowl, so it can be like 65-85. But I don't know if I would like that after last year's Super Bowl, where there was just no goddamn defense play. Teams just went up and down the field, up and down the field. Yeah, it was exciting. Yeah, it was entertaining. But at some point, you want to see a team get stopped or have to punt or use some sort of strategy. It's not just like, oh, let's just score touchdowns back and forth on each other. The Rams are right now an 8-point favorite. They started off the week as a 9-point favorite. It got all the way up to 10 at some sports books before coming back down. It's 8 right now. I don't know. It's a lot of points to be laying to Aaron Rodgers. You never would think that Aaron Rodgers would be more than a touchdown underdog, but the Packers don't look great. The Rams look really, really good. It's going to be hard for me to bet against the Rams until I see it. The Seahawks did kind of show the way to beat them is like kind of some misdirection, get Sue and Donald going one way. The quarterback, who was Russell Wilson, who's phenomenal, going the other way. They ran the ball right down their throats on a couple of different occasions because they were worried about Russell Wilson. You could see they were kind of, is he going to keep this? No, he didn't. Then Seattle gashed him. So I think you can use Sue and Donald's over aggressiveness against them in certain instances, but by and large, they're going to beat the shit out of you on the inside. And I don't know that the Packers have the run game to do it. I don't know that they can do their little hug technique enough. Give me the Rams -8 in that marquee 4:25 matchup, which I assume is on Fox. The other 4:25 game is Cardinals-Niners. Got a fucking stinker. The Cardinals are a 1.5-point underdog at home to the Niners. The Cardinals have looked bad. Their coach does not look like an NFL coach. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this game. Jimmy Garoppolo's hurt. Matt Breida is back from injury, but then they were getting blown out so bad that they just kind of pulled him last week. I don't know. Neither one of these teams is very good. Neither one of these teams matters. And unless you're talking about in terms of the top overall pick, I do kind of want to see. I'll probably tune in to see Josh Rosen, rookie quarterback at a UCLA. The Rosen one. Hopefully he can develop, because that would be nice. I mean, but unfortunately for him, Larry Fitzgerald is on his way out, so he's going to have to develop a rapport with that kid Christian Kirk they have. Why am I talking about the Arizona Cardinals roster like it matters? Give me the Cardinals plus 1.5. The Niners should not be a road favorite. I don't know that one win how you're a road favorite. It obviously shows you how shit the Cardinals are, but come on. The Niners should not be a road favorite. Really, really good Sunday night game for the second week in a row, although the game didn't end up being very good. Third week in a row, I should say, because we had Patriots Chiefs and we had Chiefs Bengals. And now this week we're treated to an NFC divisional round. Yeah, because the NFC Championship game was it? Yeah, it was the championship game, Vikings, Eagles. And then this was the divisional round where the Saints were winning. Everyone knows the deal. Keenum drops back, throws it to Diggs. Marcus Williams, oh, he fucking whiffs. Touchdown, Diggs. That was my announcer voice, but I can't get too loud because it's like 7 o'clock in the morning and I don't want to start yelling shit in the roomie's house, parents' house. Vikings are a underdog. I like the Saints, but they probably shouldn't be a 1.5 point favorite against Minnesota in Minnesota. If this is in New Orleans, I get it 100%. But I don't know that the Saints should be a 1.5 point favorite. Drew Brees looks great. I could say he's found the fountain of youth, but he never fucking really fell off. So it's not as if he refound his form. He's just been phenomenal his entire career. And I don't want to take anything away from like the quarterbacks of today's era, but just the sheer volume alone is crazy. Like the passers from my generation in the top 10 yards, they just throw the ball so much. It's almost not fair. They might have to create two different fucking NFL record books, because I think what was it? It was in the Madden League. Someone was sharing that Matt Ryan through his first 150 games has more yards than anybody. So in like another 5 years, we're probably going to be talking about Matt Ryan as like a top 5 quarterback in terms of yards, touchdowns, things like that. And it's just going to be sheer volume. Maybe not touchdowns, because he doesn't throw a ton of touchdowns, but it's going to be sheer volume. You're going to look up and Matt Ryan's going to be the NFL yards leader. It's going to be insane. However, that has nothing to do with the Saints or Vikings, aside from the fact that Drew Brees is the current NFL record holder in quite a few completions, touchdowns, whatever, yards, whatever the hell else he's toppled. He's going to topple a lot of them before he goes away. I think he and Brady will go back and forth on a couple of them this year. Anyway, I'm taking the Vikings. Kirk Cousins, they look good. I don't know what Anthony Barr and Xavier Rhodes' status is. I should probably look that up. Let's see here. Xavier, because they both got hurt against the Jets, and that's kind of a shame to see. Injury status. It's never good when you have guys going out. Anthony Barr is a really good kind of a hybrid linebacker. Xavier Rhodes has a sprained ankle, it says. But that was in the Jets game. Let's see. Now it's saying a toe injury. Is that old or new? Oh, Jesus. Let's see. Vikings injury. I think NFL treats their injuries like Fort Knox. Like you can't fucking, like they just got to put leg. Vikings injury report. MinnesotaVikings.com. I'm assuming they released it on Thursday. Don't teams have to release that on Thursday? Injury reports. Okay. Did not practice. Game status out. Anthony Barr is out. He definitely looked like he pulled his hamstring. That's a blow for them. Obviously, these other guys. Dalvin Cook's not going to play. That's, I think, Everson Griffin's gonna make his return. Poor guy with his mental health issues. I guess I shouldn't say poor guy, because at least he got all that figured out. Riley Reef is doubtful. Linval Joseph doubtful. No, questionable. Xavier Rhodes is questionable with a foot/ankle. He didn't practice all week. I'd imagine he's not going to play today. Andrew Sendejo is out. He's been out for a while with a groin injury. George Aloka's taken his spot. So the Vikings have quite a few injuries on that defense. I don't know. Maybe it's going to change my pick. Now, I already picked them. Minnesota plus 1.5. I'm going to take Minnesota plus 1.5. I will trust Captain Kirk, which leads us to the Monday night football. Burner, burner, burner. It's Booker. It's Jason Witten talking over each other for 2.5 straight hours. Those guys really still haven't figured it out. We're halfway through the first season and they still talk over each other. One tries to get the last word in. It's pretty rough listening to them. Old Boog talking about peeing on the sideline last week. He said he just relieved himself on the sideline. I don't know. Jason Witten was kind of grossed out by it. It's it's a weird pairing. They don't seem to work well together, we'll say. That they don't seem to like each other a ton. I know that they try to pretend like they do, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of love there, love lost between the two of them. That doesn't really matter. Why am I talking about the announcers? You want to hear about football, hard hitting football analysis. The Browns, the Bills are bad. The Patriots are good. I'm going to take the Patriots minus 14. I think I'm going to regret it because this has all the hallmarks of that Bill Belichick game where he does nothing, just like runs power eye the entire game, and they win by 3, but they didn't show their next opponent anything. That's the Patriots do that once or twice a year, where if they know they're better than a team, they'll just run like power eye for an entire game. They won't show their next opponent one look, one formation, one anything that they're going to do the following week, and they'll still win like 13-10. They'll get out of there with the win, and they'll have not showed their next opponent anything. They're the best at that. They do that at least once or two games a season, and I think this will be one of those games. But I think the Bills are just so bad that the Patriots are going to end up having to win by more than 14. All right, let's recap these picks. I got New England minus 14, Minnesota plus 1.5, Arizona plus 1.5, the Rams minus 8, Oakland plus 3, Carolina plus 2.5, Cleveland plus 8, Washington minus 1, Denver plus 9.5, Detroit minus 3, Cincinnati minus 3.5, Chicago minus 8, the Eagles minus 3, and I've already won with Houston minus 7.5. My record so far this year, 59, 45, and 4. As I mentioned, not had an under 500 week. I do not have a great feeling about this week. I was not able, the Facebook live video just randomly shit out in the middle of this. So I'm going to share this YouTube link to that. Hopefully you guys can watch it or listen to it on the podcast, which it should be up within the next, half hour or so. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy your football Sunday. I will be back whenever I'm back. Not going to even try to pretend to make a guess, but I am going to try to do another episode. I'm going to try. That's what we'll leave it at. Trying. Set the bar low, and then you'll always succeed.